Welcome to Good Review, where we try to talk about only the good things in a game, and if you want to find the negatives, I'm pretty sure you can find that anywhere else on the internet. Toejam and Earl Back in the Groove plays just like the 1990s game on Genesis way back in the day. Now, this game is so similar. It has the same isometric view, elevators and whatnot, some of the same presents, some of the same enemies. It's ultimately a nostalgia piece for people that pledged on it, and it does a great job of being that. So Toejam and Earl games have always been about collecting presents, jumping in elevators, and finding ship parts so that they can return to Funkatron. And this game does it probably better than they've done it in a long time. Like, the Xbox game was terrible. I never really cared for Toejam and Earl 2. But Toejam and Earl, the first one, was like one of the very first roguelikes I ever played on Genesis. And it was great. You could come back and everything would be randomized and it would be a different experience every time. And Toejam and Earl Back in the Groove does the same thing, but it adds to the formula that we already loved. So what you get is you go and you grab presents, and there's a bunch of new ones. There of course are the old ones like Sprint Shoes and Icarus Wings, but then you have these new presents like Sleeping Gas and also things like a protection bubble that'll stop enemies from being able to touch you at all. So it's these cool little presents that you get to open and learn about that changes the game a lot, especially if you've been playing it since the Genesis days. Now, Toejam and Earl has never been about combat, and this game is probably even less because tomatoes don't do as much damage as they used to, or more like you really can't aim them because the enemies are really fast in this game. And the enemies are relentless. Like, they have no problem getting to you. They're faster than most of the characters, especially if you're playing with two players and you got the split screen and you can't really tell where everything's coming from. The game can get insane. Speaking of cooperative play, it is better than it has ever been. In the original game, you would always go into split screen and then the game would pause, or you couldn't check the map as one player without pausing the game for the other. But now all of that has been fixed. You can roam around to your heart's content without having to worry about what the other player is doing. And there are a lot of presents that'll just keep you and the other player alive, and maybe sometimes even save the other player, like when you can just pull them towards you when they need to be saved. This game also introduces some new mini games. You can do this Dance Dance Revolution type thing or sing. Pretty much the same thing. One of them is you change the buttons yourselves, and the other is you do whatever the game tells you to do. The game is also still loaded with tons of secrets. You can find and unlock secret presents that you can use later on in the game. When you beat the game, you get to choose a present to unlock or an item to unlock, like a hat or something like that, and these grant different types of bonuses when you play the next time. It's fun, it's frantic, and it gives you a reason to keep coming back. There are 4 different characters to play as, and then you can earn an additional 3. And each of these characters have their own bonuses and negatives. I feel like Laquanda is the one that is the hardest because she has the worst luck in the game. And bad luck means, well, a lot of broken presents and bad rolls whenever you try to get some stuff. But everyone else has a reason to play as them. Toejam's faster than Earl. Earl will not die from bad food. Stuff like that. It's just little small stuff, and it's really cool. I think one of the biggest changes to this game was that the only way to really get away from any of the Earthlings was that you had to jump in the water or just really outrun them or try to outmaneuver them. That's not really a thing that you can do in this game since they're all faster than you and you don't really have the shake and juke mechanics that you had in the first game. So now they have this sunflower that you can hide behind. You can also find a bunch of humans who will help out the aliens, so you can use them a lot. There's tons of them on each level. You can find them, pay them to help you out, unlock presents, and even the Carrot Man will give you reputation now. So you don't just earn reputation on the fly anymore. You have to talk to the Carrot Man to level up. I mean, this is all a pretty great change because the way that they changed the game with all the enemies, because it can be frustrating. I'll just say that. It could be frustrating if they didn't have the Earthlings. So I've talked about a lot of things, but I haven't talked about one of the biggest gameplay mechanics, and that's the presents. Now, the presents are pretty similar to what they were in the original game, except there are a lot more of them. In the original game, we had a small amount of presents where you can usually guess how many there were. And in this game, there are so many presents and so many negative presents that it's hard to kind of gauge where you're at. So you're gonna see a lot of new presents all the time and sometimes a lot of negative presents. So you'll be visiting the Earthling that reveals all the presents as much as you can. The thing about this is that now you get way more money than you ever did in all the other games. You get so much cash that it's easier to pay for Earthlings help, and it makes it so you're not just kind of screwed by the end of the game. In the original game, it was easy to get screwed over by a randomizer, and you didn't really have that money to go pay for identification, so you're just guessing, and eventually you get something like a buzzkill, and it just instantly kills you and game over. So in this one, it's much better because you have a lot of money and Earthlings all around to try to save you. This game adds a brand new function as well. You can shake trees and reveal items, and you can even do like this echolocation thing to search to see what's around you. So if it shakes, it has something inside of it. You don't always get something good out of whatever you shake. Sometimes you'll get hit in the head with a bowling ball, or you'll eat some gross food, or an enemy will pop out and try to kill the crap out of you. It's a kind of a hit and miss thing if you want to shake these trees by the end of the game, because you never know. You might shake a tree and a murderous ice cream truck tries to kill the hell out of you. That being said, it's a cool way to play hide and seek to find presents. Now this game does shake up the formula a little more by changing locations. Sometimes we'll be stuck in the darkness, other times we'll get this snowy level where we can ice skate on the frozen lakes. And then we had the normal stuff like quicksand levels and typical grass areas. It would have been nice to have seen a lot more variety, maybe some volcano levels or something Super Mario-esque, or something that we're used to seeing in other type of games. But what you have here is standard fare and good enough. And one of the big features that I like about the game now is that when you go to another level, so if you go up a level, you can see everything that happens down below. So you see all the enemies, you can see the placement of items, and it makes it really easy to just jump down and get away from an enemy and probably find an item or some food and then go back up to the top. It's a nice addition to know that the world is always breathing no matter where you are. The game also throws in the hyperfunk zone that was present in Toejam and Earl 2. It's pretty much exactly the same as it was in that game. You get to jump through hoops, try to avoid getting thrown out of the level, and see how long you can last. And when you get out of it, you get a bunch of XP and money and things like that. It has a cool psychedelic line pattern going for it, and it's fun the first couple of times you do it. I wouldn't say to keep doing it because it doesn't really change too much. Maybe if they can add some variety in DLC or maybe in a later game. And another cool thing about the game is that it has all of these patrons all over the game that give you money and free stuff, and even have these little hidden areas that you can see all of the names and all the cool people who donated. So, you know, they really did a great job at implementing these people. And the incredibly long credit sequence that has the name of every person that ever donated. And we don't even get that in QA sometimes, so that's great. Now, Toejam and Earl, the original game, looked good, but this game looks much better, of course, because it's the HD world, and we have these new animations. And, you know, while I miss the way the boogeymen used to look, everything else is crisp. There's some dope animations here for the Earthlings. You really gotta love the cartoonish look of this game and all the dope animations, man. Look, just look at this guy. Now, sound design in this game is pretty great. I don't like that they didn't just include a bunch of voiceover. They seem to have voiceover at the beginning of the game, but everything else is great. The music is still pretty good. It's not as good as the Genesis version, unfortunately, but they do have remixes from the original in there. But all the voice work from the Earthlings and the sound effects sounds really crisp and awesome. Toejam and Earl Back in the Groove is a fantastic game for nostalgia buffs. Now, a lot of people who are new to the series probably won't get it immediately, or ever really, but those that played the games back in the Genesis age will love this game. I've been playing Toejam and Earl off and on for years. I always go back to it, and now I have this game that pretty much is the original game with a lot more variety to it. So it might finally be time to put the original Toejam and Earl down for good. Long live Toejam and Earl Back in the Groove, and hopefully we can get a lot more variety in the next game.